So today we're going to do a little video on some new items that will be included with each kit that will help make assembly a little bit easier. So we're going to show what they're used for and how they're used. Here's the packet that will be included with each kit. We'll go ahead and look at each part individually. This particular item is a drill guide bushing for extending any of the 16th inch pinholes through metal parts. All of our holes are drilled in the wood, but some of the parts don't have the holes extended through the metal parts, and this particular item will help with that. This is a drill bit that just fits inside that bushing that I just showed you. I believe it's 52 thousandths or thereabouts. We've included a little collet holder that allows it to be chucked in any drill, because most drill chucks won't grip anything smaller than a 16th of an inch. And then we've included I believe it's a 63 thousandths bit. It's the wire gauge, next wire gauge bigger than a 16th of an inch, so it's like a thousandths bigger than a 16th of an inch, somewhere in that range. So we'll be including those three items. Then we're also including a tap. Now there's nothing to be afraid of with these parts that are included. It'll only make your life a lot easier with the assembly. One thing that we try to do is listen to our customers and talk to them and understand what aspects they might find more challenging with kit assembly, and we try to find solutions for that. We want every customer to have great success, and anything we can do to make the process easier is a win for them and a win for us. So that's sort of the approach we've taken with the whole kit building process, and it's kind of extending through these assembly aids that are included. So I'll go ahead and show how the drill guide bushing and drill bits are used first. So there are different parts that have to have the holes drilled through, but like I said, they're already in the wood. Pin that holds the guard to the stock at the front and at the back. Now there's tabs that extend up from the metal part that the pin goes through. We'll go ahead and pull out the guard so you can see those tabs. Here's a good way, by the way, here's a good way to take the guard out. Put it in, the front of it in first, the back of it in last, and to remove it, give it a little tap back here, the mallet, and then it'll pop out. So the tabs I was referring to are right here and right here. So the pins will go through these tabs and hold the guard to the stock. This is a very traditional way of holding many of the parts of a flintlock on the rifle. I'm going to go ahead and flip this over, install the guard back in place. Again, I always like to put the front in first. Tap that in, and then the rear. So you might think, well, if the hole's in the wood, I can just stick a 16th inch bit in the hole and extend this hole in the wood through the metal part. It will work, but there's problems associated with that. The first is, it's very hard to get the drill bit lined up on axis to the existing hole. If you're off a little bit, you'll wallow out the hole. Also, as you drill through the metal part, chips are formed, and as those chips come out of the drill, they'll tend to wallow out the hole. So what often happens, unless you're very careful, is this hole can become oversized in the wood. Now there's also other methods of say inserting a drill bit in the hole and spotting the metal part, removing the metal part, drilling it on through. That can work well too, but sometimes that hole can end up moving a little bit when you remove the part from the stock. So lots of methods can work. What I'm showing you is a method that works very well, pretty much foolproof, and results in parts that fit snugly, how they should, not too tight, parts that don't wobble around. It's just an all-around very good process. So, what I'm going to do next is I'm going to get a clamp, and I want to clamp the parts not like in there as hard as I can, but snugly in the inlet. A C-clamp can work. I like to use these quick grip clamps. They work very well too, but there's nothing wrong with the C-clamp. So we're just going to come over the top here, and we're going to clamp it as close as I can to the actual location where the pin is going through. Clamp it up snugly. Okay, now I'm going to take this drill guide, insert it through the hole. Now we'll take the drill bit, and it's going to go through that bushing, and we'll be able to drill a hole through that tab. Now, as I said, this drill bit is about 52 thousandths. The hole is going to be a little smaller, but the bulk of the material is going to be removed in this process, which will help greatly. Okay, so we're just going to stick it in the hole. We're going to hold the knurled brass knob with our fingers. It's good to clear the chips occasionally. There. So that hole is through, and it's on-centered our existing hole in the wood. So I'm going to remove this. I will now switch to the 63 thousandths drill bit. It'll chuck directly at almost every drill. Sometimes these jaws start to get worn and doesn't hold them great, but usually you can get away with it. Now we're going to just put this in the hole. We're going to take care to line it up as straight as we can. But the nice thing is, since almost all the material is removed, this bit isn't going to have a lot of material to come out, and it won't wallow out the hole. So that wasn't chucked tight enough. Problem is these jaws are beginning to get a little bit worn. We'll get it. Chuck it up a little shorter maybe a little tighter. Maybe not here. Okay, let's try again here. There we go. So I'm already through. Through the little tab, and I'm just going to pull it out now. Okay, so that's pretty good. And it did maybe cut a little tiny bit of wood, but very little in the process. Now I didn't extend this all the way through the part and clear through the stock. I stopped. Right when I went through the part, I stopped. Okay, so now we're going to take this clamp off, cut a pin. It's a little longer than it needs to be, but they'll be shortened later. I've cut them off, I've squared the ends, and I've put a nice rounding of the end, breaking of the corner. That's very important on all the pins. You must do that. Insert it in the hole. Okay, and that's on there. So it's simple as that. That'll be cut off, and it'll be good to go. We'll demonstrate it again on the back here. We'll clamp this nice and snug. Insert our bushing. It's good to drill a little bit and then pull it out to remove the chips. If you don't, it'll start to twist your guide in your fingers. One more. There we go. Remove that. So I can get this chucked up a little better than last time. Okay, so I'm through the metal part. I'm actually going to reverse the drill. Let's bring it out. You can see the pin extends through the stock. The guard is held on very firmly. It doesn't wobble around. On our mountain rifle, the ramrod pipes don't have holes pre-drilled in them. We may do this at some point, but currently they don't have the holes drilled in them. Our colonial rifle does have the holes drilled in the tabs. So by tabs, I'm referring to this little extension off the bottom of the pipe where the cross pin goes through to hold it on. So since these are not pre-drilled, we're going to go ahead and drill them through. The pipe has been fit to the stock, so there's some corners that had to be squared up for this to drop in the inlet. So now it's ready to go in the inlet here. Cool off, fits very nice. We're going to again clamp it up, and you don't have to crush the pipe, but just nice and snug. There we go. Put our bushing once again. Insert that in, you'll feel it go right up against the pipe. Chuck up on this. Okay, that's through. Grab the 62 thousandths or 63 thousandths bit. It's through. I'm going to stop, reverse the drill, bring it out, grab our pin, grab a hammer right there. Again, the tips are rounded. Goes clear through without any fuss. And the pipe is also very snug and doesn't wobble. So that's the process by which the drill guide is used. Now, the underlugs, although they're attached to the barrel, they're currently not drilled or slotted, so you would use the same process with drilling through the underlugs. So it makes a process that can be difficult and frustrating very, very easy. As far as the tap that's included, sometimes when these parts are assembled, it's difficult to get the screws to start. By that I mean the holes are pretty well lined up, but they may not be just perfectly lined up, and you can't get the bolt to want to get started in the holes. So an example of that would be the lock bolt that holds the lock to the gun, or perhaps the tang bolts that go through the stock and into the trigger plate. There's a lot of pieces that go together, and for everything to line up with all the holes drilled ahead of time can be a little tricky. We work hard to make it as good as we can, but sometimes there are some variations. So if you look through the hole and it looks like everything's lined up well and the variations are quite minor, the process that works great is to use the included tap, insert it through the hole just as if it were the lock bolt itself. Thread it in. What it'll do is it'll just help align everything. So when the lock bolt is placed back in, it'll thread in much easier, or will start easier in the tapped hole. This can be a frustration, and this makes that process much easier. So the reason why I pulled the caulk back is that it comes, the hole in this particular gun comes close to the front of the caulk. There's not a lot of clearance. Now this threads in much, much nicer, just without any binding. Pulls and lock in great. There we go. So like I said, we're including these with every kit, so you don't have to look for them as a separate item. They're included with every kit, so give them a try, and I think you'll find that you really like how they help you out.